Hi everyone, this is week 31 of the 52-week project. It's a new month of August, and we are shooting macro this month. It's one of my favorite things to shoot, as you can actually, get so many different things to shoot in such a small confined space. You don't even have to go outdoors or anywhere. You can just stay in your house and photograph something. Let me get started on this. This is my lens cap from my camera. I stacked all these images. Got 6 images here, as you can see, and these images are all set at different focal planes here. So I'm going to do what's called a focus stack. Excuse me. I started focusing on the bottom portion here, and then I gradually moved up to where you can see Canon in focus. Instead of talking about it, let me just bring it into Photoshop and show you. So I'm going to go up to the Tools menu here while I have all these images selected, and I'm going to go up to Photoshop and load files into Photoshop layers. To start off, you can see all these images. You can see it a little better actually where the focus is. You see the whole bottom here is blurry, and Canon across the front here is in focus. Now that all the layers have loaded, you got to remember these are raw files, so they are a bit larger and it may take a little bit longer. So I might have to skip forward a little bit in the video if it takes too long to process them. But as you can see, we got the different focuses here. Here's over in this area, and we got some over in this area now, and over here, and then up across the top there. So it's kind of like you would shoot with a panoramic. So you stitch the image together. You kind of want to overlap your focus a little bit, so Photoshop has something to work with. The first thing now, we're going to have to align these layers, because if you don't align the layers, then they're not registered. You'll get some funky things going on in there, maybe little color variants blurbing out to the side, because Photoshop's trying to align trying to blend the layers together, and things just aren't registered. So I'm going to shift click on the bottom layer here and make sure they're all selected, and then go up into the edit menu and choose auto align layers. I'm going to leave auto selected. The majority of the time I do anything, I just leave auto selected. It works out best that way. And none of the lens correction is going to be checked. I'm just going to leave those blank and hit OK and let Photoshop work a little bit here. And that went relatively fast. The next thing I'd like to do is get all these images combined together to actually have the whole image in focus. So making sure that these layers all here are still selected. I'll go back to the image menu and go to auto blend layers. With the blend method, I'm going to have stack images selected, and I'm going to leave this seamless tones and colors checked, just to make sure that I don't get any funky colors going on in there or anything like that. So any distortion, like weird, tonal discolorations, kind of like I have with this fingerprint in the middle here. So let Photoshop work its magic here, and I think it does a really great job with this. And there we go. It's all in focus. It came out pretty good. I'm going to crop the image now. Get rid of this. If you can see here, this is all transparent stuff around the outside from the layers that weren't completely registered. Because what happens when you're refocusing, even though the camera's on a tripod, it still moves a tiny bit, and that tiny movement shows up there. It could just be the tripod I have, or it's just maybe I just moved it a little bit. So I mean, it happens. So I'm gonna have to crop it out. I'm gonna move this in just a bit here, and I'm looking at this line here and this line here. I'm gonna try and keep them even. I'm gonna bring this in just a tiny bit. Do that there, and maybe bring this up off the bottom just a bit. go. And hit enter. And go to the move tool just to see how it worked out. And I think that looks pretty good. Alright, next thing I want to do is get rid of the dust spots. I got a little hair up here, and there's some dust over here on the ends, and of course this fingerprint, but I'll show you how to get rid of that in a few minutes. I guess one of the big things you have to make sure is when you're shooting macro or product photography for that matter, make sure it's clean. You save yourself a lot of time in post-production. I'm going to convert this to a smart object. All my layers are selected. You can do that by going into the menu on the flyout here and convert to smart object, or right click on one of the layers while they're all highlighted and do the same thing. I just have a shortcut made for it because I use smart objects a lot. Alright, now I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to call that layer dust removal. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to zoom in on this area over here. Move that over. Okay. And I'm going to select the spot healing tool and make the brush a little bit bigger. Just paint on this here. That came out pretty good. Notice I have sample all layers selected, so this way I'm able to paint on this layer and sample it from the layer below. It looks like that crop I missed. Yeah, it looks like I missed some of that. I'm going to have to recrop that on the bottom there. I don't know, that's kind of weird. It disappeared at that view. Let's see that again. Yeah, you know what? I'll just recrop that a little bit. And I'm going to move that up just a tiny bit. That should be good right there. Yeah, there we go. That works out. And you're still pretty good on the sides there, so. Okay. Now, looks like I have a little thing here. Yeah, I got a little hair in there too, a little one there. Let me get rid of that as well. Pretty good. That looks pretty good. That looks good. I didn't realize how much dog hair was on this. Okay. Oh, I forgot the other one up top here. Let's zoom up to that. I'm going to shrink the brush down, and what I'm going to do is just kind of blend it in here with the edges here. So it kind of looks like one of these little nooks that are on this. So this way I don't have to worry about trying to take that whole thing out. Alright, here's a fun part. I'm going to try and get rid of this fingerprint smudge. There's a little bit over here, and there's a little over here. And it's pretty much where it is. So I'm going to go over into the channels panel here. And I'm going to start clicking on these layers. It really shows up here in the red. And it shows up a little bit more in the blue here too. Alright, so I think what I'm going to use is my red channel and my blue channel. Alright, click on the RGB, go back to layers, and then from the image menu, I'm going to go to calculations. And we want to use the merge layer, we don't want to use the dust removal layer, so I'm going to switch that over to merged. Get the red channel here, and change this channel to the blue channel. And I'm going to invert these. You see it starting to show up there, but I want to be able to select it. So both of them being inverted. What we're selecting is the white. Now you can see this is actually really white in here. So I'll try screen. Let's see what happens with screen. And I think that makes it too white. What about soft light? Nope. I'm going to stick with multiply here. Okay. And I'm going to make sure that this result goes to a new channel, and I'm just going to hit OK. And now in the channels panel, we have a new channel called Alpha 1. What we're going to do is do levels on this channel here, and we're going to bring it in a lot. Move the white spot in and move the middle in. So as you can see, it's starting to turn white here. That's going to be our selection. Let's move this up a little bit more. The whites in. Move that a little closer. You see, I'm just basically making my selection with the levels here, and it looks pretty good. I'm going to try that, and I'm going to click on the RGB so we have it all, our composite image again, and I'm just going to control click on this alpha channel, go back to layers, and from the adjustment layer menu, I'm going to hit curves, and just going to raise this up until it disappears. You see, it's pretty much gone. You don't want to go too much because then you start bringing it out there, but just want to level it out enough so it disappears so you don't see it anymore. I want to kind of make it even with the rest of the image, and I think that looks pretty good right there. Now we kind of have to fix it a little bit, so I'm going to go to my brush tool, hit B, and make sure black is selected. I'm just going to start painting back in some of the areas that I actually don't want the contrast to disappear in, like down on the bottom here, down over here, and the side up here, and definitely around the letters of Canon here. You can alt click on there and actually take a look at what you're doing, kind of fine tune it a bit. You can see that was a fingerprint, here's a fingerprint. You can clearly see my fingerprint there. I'm just going to try and paint away some over here though, and I kind of like this over here. It's nice and dark there, so I'm going to paint that back in. Maybe paint some of this in as well. Kind of light with that one. There we go. And I'll click on that again so I can see what I did. Maybe I'll paint a little bit back in. Hit X and paint. Oops. That's a little bit strong. I'll paint that much back in. I'll leave that there. I think that looks pretty good. It's a little too much. Just lower that down a little bit. Yeah, I don't want it to look funny now. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. And it might look a little flat right now. That's okay, because I'm going to add some contrast to this right now. Let's see. I'm going to go down to the adjustment menu here, and I'm going to go to brightness and contrast, and I'm going to boost the contrast on this image. Go pretty high with it. And it did darken the image a little bit, so I'm going to do another curves adjustment layer here. And let's see, I'm going to use the target adjustment tool. I'm going to just go in here. Just raise this up a bit. And move it down. I think that looks pretty good. Boosted it up a bit, as you can see. Now it's got its contrast back. And I think that looks pretty good. This actually is kind of bothering me there. So I'll create a new layer on that. Just paint it in with some black. Paint that engine too. And there, that's it. I'm going to go to full screen here. And there we go. Alright guys, I'll see you next week.